the Moonshadow Mystery channel. I know it wasn't that long ago that I posted another video, that video being for the HivePoll winner choice. If you have not already seen it, I will include a link to it down below. And I have to admit, I enjoyed reacting to that. It was admittedly strange, a little bizarre. I was left not knowing how to feel about it. But now we're doing the runner-up video, which was suggested to us by Shauna L, who wanted me to do a first thoughts review on the new My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episode. That episode being Season 7, Episode 17, To Change a Changeling. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you my general overall thoughts right now. I enjoyed this episode. It verified a lot of theories I had. Raised a few more questions. And definitely gave us a little look at the potential behind an inter-species war between metamorphosed changelings and non-metamorphosed changelings. Now, you may be wondering why I'm using that term metamorphosed rather than reformed. Well, according to the official My Little Pony descriptions, the new versions of the changelings, led by King Thorax, are in fact metamorphosed, which makes sense. I will be covering more on changelings in a future video. I've already got the script written out for it. I've been getting some imagery set aside in order to put the piece together. I'll hopefully get it out maybe within a week if I'm lucky. But for now, let's get on to talking about this video. This specific episode, which I'm going to show some clips here and there, started off... Hold on. With Trixie and Starlight. I don't know if you can actually see that well. Let's start off with Trixie and Starlight walking on their way to the Changeling Hive. Trixie is being snide as always about the fact that they still have a ways to go. Whereas Starlight points out the fact that before Chrysalis's throne was destroyed, they had a lot farther. Now, admittedly, when you take into the fact you gotta walk around in order to get off of a cliff down to a flat path, she does have a point. Since they're both unicorns, and Starlight's the only one with any real levitation potential, I can understand it. It's not long after that Starlight goes into explaining about this new creature, which unfortunately I've already forgotten, but essentially it is a giant half mole, half bear. And while the name itself is a little difficult for me to remember and pronounce, it actually had an interesting design. It looked very much like a giant star-nosed mole, which we have seen in media in the past, especially children's media. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was that showed it. I don't think it was the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy or Codename Kim's Next Door. It'll probably come to me after it's no longer important. But apparently this thing goes around and eats and destroys vegetation, which, now that the changelings have metamorphosed, is abundant in the hive, encompassing the surrounding area and even the hive itself. As it turns out, the changelings were feeding not only on love from ponies, they were feeding on the good energy and love from everything in the area, which is definitely something that ties into what the IDW comics mentioned before. Again, I'll cover a little bit more about this in the future video that I teased. But it's not long after that we have a surprise. A non-metamorphosed changeling, and a very intriguing looking one too. He's a little bigger, a little gruffer. The webbed mane along his neck has tints of red. and his color is actually a little bit darker hue of black than what the other changelings were prior. And on top of it all, he's an extremely aggressive individual. His name is Pharynx. And while he does in fact refrain from consuming love, which does prove the fact that changelings can survive for an extended period without the consumption of love, he has taken it upon himself from his own personal love and devotion to the Hive to act as the sole guardian against any potential outside threats. And it's not long after that that he captures Trixie and Starlight in a burlap sack. Turns out he thought they were an enemy, still hanging on to the old ways. Now, I find this intriguing. I like the idea of an old war dog, which is essentially what he is. Hyper-aggressive. He was a sentinel. He was literally the spearhead of the changeling defensive. That says pretty good about the guy. Hold on just a sec, every pony. I'm really sorry about this. I'm having to reply to some messages. Yeah, sorry about that. I am trying to multitask. But again, I like this. Change is not an easy thing, and this is a nice little nod to all the fandom out there who thought that the rest of the Hive changed a little too quickly. However, the fact that the rest of the Hive did embrace Thorax's way does say that the consensus of the changeling community was in agreement with the fact that things weren't going well. This particular changeling, who turns out is Thorax's big brother, actually was perfectly fine with things as they were, and is a little abrasive to change. As the episode continues, we see all the different ways that changelings have adapted. And again, it proves another theory I had, in that changelings actually can eat regular food. We got a little hint of this from Thorax during a previous Spiton-based episode. And honestly, I'm loving it because I've been fought in the community a lot about some of the things I incorporated into my OC story, and I am proving over and over again that it works. I don't know if somehow my backstory got out there and got into the hands of the writers, but I am loving the fact that all this is coming together. But not only do we find out that they can eat regular food, we found out that they are putting together, community theater. Basically group sessions, where they can share their feelings and thoughts about things. We're seeing more and more varieties and distinctions in horns, lacks of horns, variations of color. We're seeing that even though they're changed, a lot of these these changelings are experiencing anxieties. And while we're not getting a lot of new names popped up just yet, we are seeing distinctive personalities. We're seeing that some of these changelings really thrive by expressing themselves through artistic creation. We're seeing that other changelings are taking the head by becoming therapists, acting as group leaders on a sub-level in order to help things out. And we're seeing definitively that the vast majority of changelings have an issue with Pharynx and his still hyper-aggressive attitude, while Pharynx himself has an issue with them for all being a little too comfortable, which is a very important thing to keep in mind for a community. Becoming complacent does jeopardize a community's safety. Throughout the episode, we get a lot of hints at how, despite Thorax incorporating a lot of Ember's lessons, he is having trouble with his brother. I like this because this is a nice parallel to Fluttershy in the lessons of assertiveness. When it comes to your friends and loved ones, it is much harder to be assertive than it is with people who you are in charge over. Especially when they're your elder brother, or elder sister, or mother, or father, or whatever. So it is, and we do get a little bit of information on how changeling sibling relationships exist. I kind of missed, but I think something about brew, I don't know. It's kind of like a twin thing. Like they hatch from the same egg, or the same egg cluster. But we notice a lot of things about Pharynx. He's loyal. He's determined. He's a little brash. He's very protective. And while he is slow to accept change, he's not against listening and trying to be accommodating even if he doesn't agree. He is definitely an interesting, somewhat well-rounded character, especially considering things. And we found out more and more that he has issues with the new vegetation and other things because he feels that it's endangering the hive. Which we come to find out he's not wrong. He's going about it wrong, but he is generally not wrong. But we do find that his aggressiveness does have a negative impact on everyone around him. We even see Trixie and Starlight going out of their way to try and help him understand that it's okay to accept change by actually going out of their way and openly admitting their faults and where they were in life. Unfortunately, he doesn't really care. He calls them losers afterwards and proceeds to go away. Now, this does kind of make you think that he thinks he's better than them, but in his mind, I think he just views them more like the metamorphosed changelings. As things go on, we eventually learn that Pharynx was actually extremely protective of his little brother Thorax, even when they were young. Pharynx, like most changelings, was very open to aggression, and we found out that Thorax has actually been an odd one out, much like myself, since the very beginning. We were from two different clusters. We never really encountered each other. But we were both odd ones out. Me for my rainbow-colored eyes, and the fact that I actually had a mane, well, a mixture of a pony mane and a changeling mane. We're still not entirely certain how that worked, other than the fact that I got exposed to pony magic to some degree when I was still an egg, and resulted in a slight mutation. Either that, or it activated some part of my changeling cells, which caused that. We'll get into that in a future video, hopefully. But regardless, it doesn't take long before Starlight and Trixie start realizing there may not be any choice but to have Pharynx leave the hive. Even though they don't want to have to bring this up to Thorax, they're realizing that his abrasive personality has a real negative impact on the rest of the hive. Now, I like that we see this sign of compassion from them, that they realize he's kind of a jerk, but they both were at one time too. And they really don't want to make him leave, even though he's that way. Partially because of Thorax, and partially because they know he's not really got a lot of places to go. And because he's so different from the others, he'll probably end up becoming a target. Now, he ends up overhearing them. Turns out, he's got a habit of hiding as miscellaneous objects. Probably why he was a key figure in the defense of the hive. Unfortunately, by the time Trixie and Starlight get around to figuring a way of making him look like a big hero and bringing love to him from the hive, he leaves. In the process of leaving, he encounters the Wolrum? What? It starts with a W. The giant bear mole, whatever it is. Sorry, hold on again. Again, I'm really sorry about this. I'm having to do a little bit of a back and forth here. But we actually do see a moment where Starlight explains her plan. And at first, everyone is thrilled that Pharynx left. Like, they are legitimately cheering. All except for the Thorax. Until they realize that Starlight, not realizing this fact, had redirected their plans to keep the creature away from the hive back to the hive. And everybody kind of freaks out. We get an actually really well done speech from Starlight to kind of bring the masses to arms. It fails, or so it seems. I actually like this fact. We see Starlight taking a very strong, assertive role, which does kind of go hand in hand with what a lot of fans are theorizing, in that whereas we see in the parallels of Sunset Shimmer representing, say, forgiveness or hope, we see Starlight representing justice. Is it possible we're going to see a secondary main six? Well, let's hope so, especially since we've gotten a crossover with the series and the movies and specials. If we start seeing more interactions like this canonically in the future, I will be thrilled. But moving ahead, we see Thorax, Starlight, and Trixie running as hard as they can to try and find Pharynx. And when they find him, they kind of wish they hadn't. Because this thing is huge. Like, anyone who remembers the Bugbear from Season 5, this thing's bigger than the Bugbear. Like, it mainly looks like a giant mole, but from, like, right about here on the forearm up, huge bear paws. And I'm talking about, like, Deathclaw, bigger than Deathclaw sized claws. They're like 2 to 3 feet long each. And massive incisors. I mean, this thing is a monster. You know what makes it worse? It's impervious to most damage. Like, I'm sure Silverquill or someone in the future will go out of their way to look and see if this thing has a mythological counterpart. I hope they do, because I am curious. But just as all seems dark, we see reinforcements. The hive has arrived. And they swarm big time. We were just talking about waves. Aerial wave, land wave. They are really going at this like a military, using their numbers to their advantage. But what's really interesting is prior to that, we see that Pharynx is able to transform into massive, monstrous bugs. Now, we've never seen the insect he turns into before, but it has to exist somewhere in Equestria. I hope we get to see some of it, because he turned into the same insect inside of the hive. Is this a hint at maybe the connections between changelings and the insect kingdom? Who knows? And I am going to touch on a little bit of this in my changeling-focused video in the future. But after they decide to use his own might against him, they have clearly read Sun Tzu's Art of War. He retreats underground. And then we get a nice heart-to-heart between Pharynx, Thorax, and the hive. And we get to see that Thorax is still a little ticked off at Starlight and Trixie. Trixie naturally trying to put all the blame on Starlight, as per her ego. But we see that nobody really takes it personally. Did the wrong things for the right reasons. And we see that Pharynx actually does metamorphose himself after he comes to realize that his love for the hive is what makes him strong. And the Hive itself realizes they need a warrior like Pharynx to keep them on their toes. Just because they're not a military force anymore doesn't mean they don't need to know how to defend themselves. And that is a nice lesson to learn. Just because you are actively learning to defend yourself does not mean you're going out of your way to fight. Look at Canterlot. And I know that Commander Firebrand himself has a lot of words to say on the Canterlot military. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you want to check it out, head over to Forward Operating Base Equestria. FOB Equestria. We'll try and leave a link in the video description below if I don't forget about it. If I did, I'm sorry. But trust me, he has a number of things to say about the military, and he should. Commander Firebrand himself is ex-military. And any military bronies out there who may be watching this, we salute you and thank you for your service. But what's interesting is when he transforms, he looks almost identical to Thorax. Even his mandibles, his horns, or antlers are smaller versions of Thorax's. Does this mean that he, too, is potentially a changeling Hive King? Or perhaps a prince? I'm not sure. But that does say that maybe there's something special about certain types of changelings when they're hatched. Maybe all along, Thorax and his brother were intended to become kings of the Hive. Maybe originally meant to work with Queen Chrysalis. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out in the future. Honestly, if it's a interchangeling war as the finale, I'm all over it. And what's really funny is we see Pharynx bring up the same story Thorax brings up. Well, he tells it naturally from the Big Brother point of view. Now, I want to make mention of the fact that when they did defeat that weird mole bear creature, they did it using something that Pharynx used to do to Thorax. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? A lot of little siblings out there understand what that's like so well, don't they? Me, I regret to admit that I was on Pharynx's side of that thing. Not in the Hive, mind you, but out here in the real world. In the Hive, I've got scars. Literal and figurative. Not cool, man. But that's essentially the episode. I intended this to be my first lesson. What did I think? I actually thought this was a great addition to the Season 7 so far. There have been little hiccups in Season 7, but nothing major. It's actually all been really high up there on the list. Now, I want you to give me just a second, because I want to see who the heck it is that wrote this episode. Hold on. The episode actually took a little past it. Hold on. Produced by Devin Cody. Edited by John O. Written by Kevin Lupin. I think Kevin Lupin is a new addition to the writing staff and creative staff of My Little Pony for this season. And Kevin, I thank you. Because you helped verify a lot of theories I've had on changelings, helped reaffirm my own backstory, what I have been trying to tell ponies for over a year now. And really gave me some entertainment. I am really a little curious about Pharynx and why he looks the way he does, but one interesting thing to point out, he maintains the red web mane and the black color scheme. This does tell me that there is maybe he represents the perfect blend between non-metamorphosed and metamorphosed changelings. But let me know what you think. What was your favorite part of the new My Little Pony episode? Did this maybe answer some questions that you yourself have been having about changelings throughout the series? Did it reaffirm something that you theorized? Let us know in the comment section down below. And yes, I do read every comment. I do my best to respond to as many of them as I can. So please, let me know. Leave your suggestions, your critique, your criticisms, your thoughts, anything you want to share, ask, or otherwise with this channel, with me, about the video, leave it down in the comment section. If you like this video, go ahead and give a nice bro hoof to the like button. But if you didn't, I want you to go ahead and give it a nice hard apple buck on that dislike button. If you're already subscribed to us, well, I want to thank you for subscribing and recommend that you tap that little notification icon right down there in the bottom right hand corner so that you can get up to the minute notifications on when new videos are released on this channel. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button if you feel the notion. If you're not quite sure that you're ready to subscribe, that's okay. Click my name, Moonshadow Mystery, above the video description and head to the main channel, where you can see other videos that we've done, including other My Little Pony episodes from Season 6, past reviews from Season 2, which admittedly there's only one, reactions to the Season 6 and finale and Season 7 opener, first thoughts, reviews on the movies, Dragon Ball Super, Steven Universe, and other things. I've even gone into a little bit of detail about Pokemon Sun and Moon. And there are other topics I want to cover and haven't gotten a chance to. Impersonations that I've done. Song covers I have managed. Let's Plays. And I intend on doing so much more in the future. But if there's anything I've said, or anything that I've not said that you want to see, let me know. Because you, the viewer, are what makes this channel worth doing. Like I said in my previous video, I'm not here just for my own entertainment. I'm here for yours. So thank you for tuning in, every pony. I hope you enjoyed these first thoughts on My Little Pony Season 7, Episode 17. Had to verify that I was giving you the right episode number. I hope you have a great rest of your day. A great rest of your week ahead. Whenever this video actually gets uploaded, because uploading times seem to vary for some reason. Not sure why, but hopefully we'll get that sorted out soon. And I will see you right back here on the Moonshadow Mystery channel. Same changeling time, same changeling channel. And don't forget, your suggestions do make it in to the video listings, sometimes sooner, sometimes later, depending on when I get a chance to work on them. So, don't feel intimidated. Let me know what you want to see. It'll either get done, and it will get done as soon as I possibly can get it done, if I've not already done it. But anyways, everybody, that's all the time we have for this episode, and that being a little bit longer than the actual episode, but that's okay. This has been a bit of a discussion, and I enjoy doing them. It's been a while since I've done a review, and I do hope to do a past due review in the future of other Changeling episodes and other episodes of My Little Pony in particular. Admittedly, I probably will get around to Changeling-focused episodes first. Why? Well, if you're asking that, seriously, I mean seriously, dudes, dudettes, mares, stallions, colts, fillies, whatever! This is the Moonshadow Mystery channel, and if you're a subscriber, you're part of the Hive. But anyways, that's all the time we have. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if not, let me know what I can do to improve the format and improve my structure for you to help you enjoy it more. Anyways, every pony, time to get going. So don't forget, don't go changing for anyone but yourselves. And we'll see you right here next time.